Can you live in a house where the lights turn on by themselves, where whispers echo outside your window, where the darkness itself seems to be watching you? I tried, but then one night it called my name in a whisper. If you ever hear someone whispering in your room, but no one is there, what would you do? 2 years ago, I moved into my home, a small but cozy house with a backyard that stretched into a dense forest. It was peaceful, quiet, and perfect for me. I would sit on my deck in the evenings, listening to the chirping of crickets and enjoying the fresh air. But last winter, something changed, something that stole my sleep. It started with little things. My motion sensor lights would turn on for no reason, but when I looked outside, there was nothing. My dog, Max, would stand by the sliding glass door, growling at something unseen. I brushed it off as the wind or an animal, but deep inside, I felt something watching me. Then, one night, I knew I wasn't alone. Around midnight, I stepped outside to get some fresh air. The snow-covered yard was silent, the only light coming from my porch. That's when I saw it. A tall, dark figure standing at the edge of the woods, perfectly still. I froze. At first, I thought it was a person, maybe a neighbor, a lost traveler, but as I looked closer, I realized something was wrong. It wasn't moving at all. It was too still, too unnatural. Then it moved, but not like a person. It was like one moment it was far away, and the next it was suddenly closer. My heart pounded. I ran inside and locked the door. I checked my camera. Nothing showed up, but I knew what I had seen. For the next few nights, I avoided going outside, but whatever it was, it hadn't left. I began hearing strange whispers near my window, like a voice speaking underwater. Max would bark furiously, his fur standing on end. One night, I woke up to find my backyard gate wide open. I was sure I had locked. Now, I was scared. I called my friend Sam and told him everything. He laughed, said I was imagining things, and offered to spend the night. I felt relieved until he arrived, because the moment he stepped into my house, his face turned pale. "I swear, I just saw someone standing by the fence," he whispered. We both stood by the window, watching. Then, suddenly, my motion sensor light flicked on, and it was there, at the edge of my yard, staring at it. No face, no eyes, just a shadow. Sam pulled out his flashlight and shined it on the figure, and that's when it did something I'll never forget. It smiled, not with lips, not with eyes, but somehow we felt it was smiling at us, like it was enjoying this, like it had been waiting for this moment. I couldn't take it anymore. The next night, I set up cameras all over my yard, determined to prove I wasn't crazy. Around 3 a.m., I heard something scratching at my door. My blood ran cold. I checked the cameras. Every single feed was black. Then, a whisper, low and broken, right outside my window. "Let me in." I grabbed a baseball bat and turned on every light in the house. But when I looked outside, there was nothing. Just an open gate, just darkness. A month later, I moved out. I couldn't stay there any longer. On my last night, I checked the cameras one final time. One camera was still working, and what I saw still keeps me awake at night. A shadow, standing in my yard. But this time, it wasn't just watching. It was waving. Do you think this was just a person? Or something else? Have you ever felt like someone was watching you when you were completely alone? It was just a momentary glimpse, but enough to freeze my blood. A tall, shadowy figure stood in my backyard, his head tilted to one side as if he knew I was watching him. And then he waved, a slow, calm, yet sinister gesture. I immediately called the police, but when they arrived, there was nothing there. Let me give you some context. My name is Jake. I'm 24 years old, living alone in a small, old house in a quiet suburb. Life had been rough lately. My girlfriend, Emily, and I had just broken up after 5 years together. The house we had picked together now felt like a hollow shell, filled with nothing but echoes of what once was. As if that wasn't enough, I lost my job shortly after. The days blurred into each other, an endless cycle of waking up late, microwaving instant meals, and watching true crime documentaries deep into the night. At first, I thought it was just a way to distract myself from the silence, but soon I started to crave craved the stories of horror, of real monsters hiding in the dark corners of everyday life. But nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to experience. It wasn't just that night when I first saw the man in my backyard. It was the nights that followed, the shadows that moved when they shouldn't have, the feeling of being watched, even when I was sure I was alone. The whispers outside my window at 3 a.m., so faint that I couldn't make out the words, but loud enough to send chills down my spine. At first, I tried to convince myself that it was my mind playing tricks on me. I was stressed, exhausted, and spending way too much time with my own thoughts. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. And then, it happened. One night, I woke up around 2:30 a.m. with an unshakable sense of dread. It wasn't a nightmare that had woken me. It was silence. An unnatural kind of silence, the kind that makes you hyper-aware of every breath you take. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding, and instinctively reached for my phone. I checked my security camera app, hoping to calm my nerves. But every feed was black, corrupted, as if someone or something had tampered with them. Panicking, I scrolled back through the recordings, and that's when I saw it. A single frame, a tall, shadowy figure standing in my backyard, his head tilted slightly to the side, as if he knew I was watching. And then I noticed his hand. He was waving at the camera, a slow, deliberate wave. I felt my blood turn to ice. I called the police immediately, barely able to form words through the sheer terror in my voice. They arrived within minutes, but after searching every inch of my backyard and the surrounding area, they found nothing. No footprints, no signs of forced entry, nothing that would suggest anyone had even been there. They told me it was probably just a glitch in the camera, maybe a trick of the light, maybe stress-induced paranoia, but I knew better. This was real. So I set up new cameras, high-resolution ones. I added motion sensors, changed my locks, even installed a metal bar across my back door. I told myself I was being overly cautious, that I was overreacting, but deep down, I knew he wasn't done with me yet. It was 2 a.m. when my phone buzzed with an alert. Motion detected. Living room. My breath caught in my throat. My stomach twisted into knots. I was in my bedroom, alone. With trembling hands, I opened the app, and there he was, inside my house, standing in the dim glow of my living room, just beyond the threshold of my hallway. He wasn't searching for anything. He wasn't rummaging through my belongings. He wasn't even moving. He was just standing there, watching me. Then, as if he knew I was looking at the camera, he moved, not with a normal, fluid motion. His head snapped toward the camera, his body still eerily motionless. Then, he smiled. Not a normal smile, not a grin, a wide, unnatural, terrifying smile. And then, the feed cut out. I didn't sleep that night. By sunrise, I had packed a bag, grabbed my dog, and drove as far as I could without looking back. I haven't been back to that house since. I don't know if he was real. I don't know what he wanted. But sometime, in the dead of night, I wake up in a cold sweat, convinced that I can still feel his eyes on me, watching, waiting for me to make a mistake.